here in Philadelphia with the ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry 32nd degree and the Holy Royal Art Chapter number 183. And I came to this country when I was 5 years old through my father. And growing up, I was always fascinated with religion, philosophy, history, and I was always a Mason in my heart, how you described that. And I found my way to Freemasonry after I had finished college. And once I had gotten into Masonry, I found that it was very similar to the path of Sufism that I had followed, which the goal of Freemasonry is to uplift the fallen state of mankind, to get closer to the Creator, and to help your brothers and to help mankind in a way where you can improve the world in our current fallen state. And my time that I spent with my Christian brothers, with my Jewish brothers, I found Freemasonry to be such a beautiful place. And I thought that where else in the world can you see where everyone can love one another and come together without any type of division? And with the Sufi path, I found the similarity that it's the constant remembrance of God and meeting on the level and to become one not just with your brother, but to take a little bit each from each faith and apply that to your life. Just like we can see with Brother Christian Rosicrucianism from the 15th century, how he traveled from the Middle East and he came across the Brethren of Purity, which were the Sufi brothers at the time in Morocco, in Egypt, in Arabia. So from the east to the west and the west to the east, we make each other whole. And it's that order and chaos, chaos and order. One cannot exist without the other. And we need each other to learn from each other. And in my Sufi practices, I also learned that the it's the purification of oneself. How in Masonry you chip away at your imperfections, at your rough ashlar, and you try to become better every day. So in Sufism, it's the same where you have a sheikh, and he'll have his sheikh is like the equivalent of a worshipful master, and he'll have the murids under him. So the murids would be his brothers or students that are under him, and once they go through the initiatic process, their job is to basically recite prayers in a constant basis. So you have to be in a state of prayer all the time. So the sheikh would, let's say, for someone that joins a Sufi order, he would be tasked with saying Bismillah, Bismillah. So he would be given a task to say that like 300 times a day. Then once he improves upon that, he can move on to the next level. Just like how in Masonry, you have a brother that joins, he has to learn the work in order for him to move to the next degree. And that's how, in the Sufistic aspect, we believe that you have a mineral that goes to a plant goes to an animal goes to man goes to an angel, and then angel becomes one with God again, because the creator is the source, and that's all that there is. So in the aspect of Sufism and Freemasonry, they both share the same goal, even in Freemasonry, where one has to learn the ritual and learn the work to emulate that work. And in Sufism, you'll have a Hafiz who will learn the Quran and become a master of his work. So you have a lot of those similarities as well. Even in the Holy Kaaba in the city of Mecca in the east, where brethren they wear the white ihram, or if you sound it out, it sounds like Hiram. So the white ihram that they wear, and everyone there meets on the level. You could be a judge, a CEO, a politician. Nobody knows who's who. Everyone treats each other with love and respect, and it's the equivalent of the innocence of the white lambskin of a master mason. Where in Freemasonry, you know that if I'm a master mason and the other is one too, we all already have something in mutual that helps us in our goal to not just lift the fallen state of mankind, but to love one another and to guide each other, and to know that no matter what path you follow in life, we're all walking each other home. We're all brothers. And I was raised by a Jewish past master with Christian brethren around me as a Muslim. So for me, Freemasonry is a platform that I know that I can use to bring humanity together, especially with so much division going on. I try to teach people that you have more in common with each other than you realize. And even in my childhood, I used to go to the mosque to study the Quran. I went to the my local church around here, the corner, to read the Bible and make new friends, because we know that there's something in each faith that we can apply to ourselves. Just like how the goal of this college is, or Rosicrucianism, is that there's in each culture and each religion, whether it's from the East or the West, we have to give it equal respect, knowing that from East to West and West to East, that's how we become whole. And it's that esoteric path that we must follow to heal ourselves internally, externally. And once we show that character, that's how we'll be able to guide others and to give them a good impression of not just the brotherhood, but who we are and what we stand for. And I'm truly thankful that not just in the Sufi Islamic community, but in the Masonic community as well, I've been able to mend those gaps that my faith and Freemasonry had with one another with the work that I've been doing, not just with the YouTube videos, but going around and meeting with brothers and sitting with them, and to teach everyone that we have a lot in common with each other in our quest to basically heal our temple, our physical temples. So in the Sufi aspect, they would tell you that the phrase "La ilaha illallah," there's no God but God. So it's 7 syllables. So they would tell you that it's your 7 chakras of your physical temple, all the way up to your crown that you must heal. So La ilaha illallah, no God but God. So that's what you're in. You're in a trance. You're constantly in of the Creator, and to love your brothers and to help humanity and to help your family to become a better husband, become a better spouse, become a better brother, and to become a better friend and son. Whatever situation life throws you in, you have to become better in all that you do, knowing that today could be my last day. And if I know that if I have to encounter someone that I love and it's the last time that I'll ever speak to them, it's with the most purest intent and heart that I will leave a good impression upon them, as we do with our brothers. Now, a lot of people have asked me what's the most esoteric thing I found in the Holy Quran. Now, the Holy Quran, you can read chapter Surah Al-Baqarah, which is the second surah of the Holy Quran. So if you look at the etymology of Baqarah, so Ba is the soul. It all comes from ancient Egypt. Ba can be the soul. Ka is the brother Mason who was the king, and Ra is the all-seeing eye of the creator of the supreme being. And the last 2 verses in the Surah Baqarah of the Quran, it teaches you that we make no distinctions among the messengers. So they basically are telling you when they say we make no distinction among the messengers, they tell you that everyone is correct. Jesus was correct, Moses was correct, Abraham was correct, Muhammad was correct, peace be upon all of them. Solomon was correct. So that phrase teaches us that you have to give respect and learn from all of the religions that are there. And that's what we see in ourselves in the Sufi culture, is we see ourselves as a continuation of the Jewish and Christian traditions in our aspects to become better and to give charity and to have faith and to know that good and bad times are a part of life. They come, but we must never forget who we are, what we stand for, and what is our purpose. And when I first joined Freemasonry here in 2016 in Pennsylvania, I made a lot of difference to try to bring brethren together and to try to bring humanity together. And there was a lot of issues of bigotry that I had confronted, and I was able to make that difference. And eventually my journey took me to England. I found great brothers there. I was in London recently in September. And God willing, once everything calms down, I'm looking forward to going back again. So the beauty of Masonry is that no matter what city or town or country in the world you go, there will always be a brother that will be waiting there to help you. Just like how in Sufism you have these different brotherhoods or the tariqas. So depending on like who you're initiated under, there's a tariqa you have to follow, which is the way. And a lot of the messengers in our faith say that those who do not have a guide in this lifetime, they die in ignorance. So basically, you have to be brought from darkness to light in your search for not just to improve your own self, but to know that this is the world that I was given, and it's my task to leave it better than I found it. And I make that promise not just before myself, but to Almighty God. And a lot of people might not know this, but inside the Kaaba, which is basically that perfect square stone, ashlar stone, there's two pillars and an altar in there. And as you see in Mecca, there's Masonic architecture all over, with the two pillars and the archways, everything. And the Kaaba is basically the keystone, and the keystone is basically, um, you could say, it's your in competition of bringing God's knowledge into your head. So me wearing this, that means that I'm protecting what God has given me inside my crown, and that's the meaning. It's about your devotion and to protect your light. So in a Sufistic culture, what they do is a lot of it. It's about isolation. So most of them spend their time in isolation. So this is the perfect time to work on those spiritual practices. It's about not thinking too much, not letting your thoughts get the best of you. And a lot of the Sufi studies and practices that I have done, it's I always came across brothers who were living a very aesthetic lifestyle. They might be they might be very rich and they come from a very good station in their life, but the way their appearance is, you can never tell because of how aesthetic that they live, and how they portray themselves, which I found very similar to the Solomonari, which is in Romanian mythology, where magicians who disguise themselves as beggars to test humanity and to test their heart. And recently, when I was in Pakistan to visit my family, I had come across a lot of these Sufi elders when I was visiting all of the shrines, and a lot of them would portray themselves in that kind of fashion to test how the people would treat them when they come there, to see if I asked him for help, would he help me? And if you had helped them, because they catch you in a situation where there's nobody there but besides them and you. So that's when they test your character in that moment to see what kind of heart do you have. Are you going to help them and receive their blessings, or will they have other lessons that they'll teach you in your quest to become a better person? And similar to how a master corrects his brother if he messes up on certain words. So those that aspect I found very beautiful in the Sufi culture when I was there, and also to be humble and to give, and not to be a taker but a giver. To be a giver not just to your brotherhood but to all those that come to you before aid. If I know if I have the power to help somebody, I'm not going to look the other way. If I see some kind of injustice taking place, I know that the all-seeing creator will hold me accountable if I knew I had the power to do something about it, but I chose to look the other way. So resistance against evil and against the wicked, and the belief in the God, knowing that he's going to hold us accountable, is another similar aspect that the Sufi faith has with Freemasonry and Rosicrucianism in respect to our brother Christian Rosicrucian, that we are here to learn from each other and we're here to guide from each other and to always be in a remembrance. Don't think about anything. Don't think about what I have to do tomorrow, what I have to do the next day, what I have to do next month, next year, because everything is happening simultaneously. All time exists simultaneously. That's the Sufi mindset, where you know that why should I waste my time thinking or worrying if I know that my destiny has already been pre-written, or I'm just playing out my part on the world stage, on how William Shakespeare says that we're all actors just playing out our script. So that's the Sufi aspect, is to put your faith in God. Put your faith in God, your worries, your hopes, everything, and don't think about anything. And this is the time right now, especially with the corona crisis, where the Freemason or the Sufi or the one that follows Rosicrucianism, it's basically three paths, one destination. But he will be tested the most during this time. His faith will be tested the most. In whom do you put your trust? All those questions will come back in your head over and over again. And you will know that at the end, what is really in our control? I might have a college degree, I have a good income, I have a beautiful family that loves me, I love them, I provide for them, but I could go to sleep right now and I have no guarantee with any of the people that I know, the connections, the money, that I can give that guarantee that I will wake up tomorrow. So that's why the Sufi and the Mason both teach themselves that we are of this world, but not of this world. So we are from it, but not of it. So we should all exclude any negative thoughts that come in our head during this time that might get the best of us, because when we're on that path where we're resisting evil and trying to help humanity and trying to help each other, those voices will come. Those negative voices will come and try to deter you from what you need to do, who you need to see, what you need to say. And they will come, and it's an aspect of spiritual warfare that we all been through in our lives. And the Sufi believes that the more difficult your path is, the better of a believer or a brother you will become. Just like in the Masonic Brotherhood, where you know that you will be put through trials and tribulations, but you've accepted that path, knowing that Almighty God will only test his most beloved believers, to know that he will put you on this path where it will just make you better. It will make you better, because if you don't have adversity in your life, if you don't get faced with difficulty, then you do not grow. And that's the life that every Mason and Sufi desires in his life. That's what he desires, a path of difficulty, tasks, something that makes you stronger emotionally and helps you become better person. An example of being patient in times of heartbreak could be the example of Abdul Sattar Edhi from Pakistan, who was a Sufi elder himself, and he spent his whole life donating his charities to hospitals, to orphans, getting girls married who didn't have parents, sending kids to school, adopting them. And there was an incident where I believe one of the persons he was helping had burned his one of his grandkids to death. And Abdul Sattar Edhi, he forgave that person. And it shows you, when you're put in that position, what kind of choice will you make when you are put in that position where such heartbreak and such trial and such adversity will come your way. But you should never forget, this is the oath that I took, this is who I am, this is who I promise to be, and to always be in a constant remembrance of God, to live an aesthetic lifestyle, to block out all of those negative thoughts, and to meet on the level with all of my brothers, no matter if they're Christian, Jewish. You know that we're all a part of each other, and we're all here to love one another. As it says in the Holy Quran, that we're all brothers and we have to make peace with them, even if we're at odds. And also to know that we make no distinction between any messenger. So the messenger of all of the faiths are correct, and we should give equal respect doing so. And I'm here to say that the true Sufi path loves and respects everybody. And we must not let those that use the name of faith to try to increase their own motives, because each faith teaches you good things. And it's just like even in Masonry, you have good and bad that exist in all races, religions, and groups. It's that internal warfare between the two groups that has been going on for long before we even existed in this world. And we have to be the light in that darkness, and to be that balance, and to be the Sufi whose job is to become close not just to his brothers but to Almighty God, and to always recite the prayers, always recite, always exclude all material thoughts, to know that it's all illusions that are trying to get the best of you, and to know that you're here to put love into this world that has been hurt, that humanity's been taken advantage of, and it's our duty as Masons and Sufis to bring humanity together, and to improve our rough ashlar, to improve it, and to keep chipping away at those stones, to know that when I go to sleep, I think about what I did during the day. Maybe I could have said something better. Maybe I could have done something better. Maybe I could have handled something in a better way. So those things always in our path make us better. And especially once you get initiated into Sufism, the sheikh, basically the sheikh you get initiated under, he will always be with you, which is similar to the all-seeing eye of the creator in Freemasonry, where your actions, whether I'm sitting here and no one's watching or seeing me, the eye of that sheikh will always be watching me, and he will always test me, and he come in my dreams to give me guidance, and to be in the search of that lost word, or the lost name of God. Just like how in our brotherhood we have a similar situation in our ritual and in our work, on how we try to get the lost word. And in excuse me, in Sufism, it's the same as well, where you will be given the tasks to purify yourself, and okay, you have to repeat these verses 300, 400 times a day. Okay, now you have to do these practices. Now you have to do these practices. Then you start to have these religious and spiritual experiences where a lot of these anomalies start taking place in your life. Just like how in Masonry, once a brother is raised, everyone just kind of comes out of comes out of nowhere to be there for him. And that's the beauty that I even saw when I was visiting a Sufi shrine. It was in a village in Pakistan close to the Indian border. And I couldn't imagine I would see a brother there, but brothers are everywhere. There's not a single place in the world where I did not see them. And that's the beauty of the universality of this order, that most people believe that, okay, Freemasons are just a bunch of older men that meet in these temples in the Western countries, but I guess they don't have that much exposure in the Eastern countries. But it just goes to show you that this thing is bigger than we can imagine. It's a lot bigger than what we're taught that it is, and how we perceive it to be, or how the movies and the books before we joined, we saw the fancy movies and read the books. This endeavor that we're in, it's basically not just a worldly endeavor, but it's a universal endeavor. And that's what the path of Sufism teaches you too, that you're just a traveler that's going through this world. You don't belong to this place. You're just here, a spiritual being having a physical experience. So this is my physical avatar. I'm here having a spiritual experience. I was meant to talk with my brothers tonight on the other side of the world, to share the feelings in my heart, and to share my vision for the world, that I see the brotherhood as a platform to bring humanity together, and its tenets to promote world peace. And it's our job to make sure that those true Masonic values are always being exemplified. They're always being exemplified in how you talk, how you act, what you do, what you say, because how others see us is what we are going to be able to teach them. I can say anything I want, but my actions are the ones that determine if the person will be able to learn from me and to see me as someone that they can look up to. And that's my message to Masonic leaders all over the world, is to bring that spiritual aspect of the brotherhood back into your lodges. and into your appendant bodies and into your side orders. It's not always about a financial situation or increasing numbers or other situations that pop up. It's about becoming better. It's about providing an environment of love, of acceptance, and to make that brother's life better who came to you on his own free will. And you have to return that same love and respect back to him, because it's a give and take. It's a scale of judgment where if somebody gives me all their heart and soul and time and resources, and if I don't give them something of equivalent back, then there's a universal imbalance that occurs. And I would tell all the most worshipful, right worshipfuls, that we have to take the aspect to learn from each other and not have a watered down Masonic education system. And that's the reason why I took things in my own hands and started making my own YouTube videos, which I'm honored and privileged that I've been able to make a difference. And if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't have come across my brothers tonight in Australia and New Zealand, and the kindness that Brother Blake showed me by giving me a platform tonight. And it goes back to the love of Sufism, as to always be in love with yourself, with others, with your brothers, with the world, with this beautiful world that the Almighty has given us, and to know the task that we've been given as Masons to be builders, and to and as Sufis to always be good in all that you do. And I would tell my Masonic brothers as well that we always done it this way. It doesn't work all the time, because Masonry is a beautiful science and work in progress. You have to keep building upon it with each new generation. And I'm truly grateful that everyone is taking the virtual online approach as well, where it just shows you how far we have come as humanity, where I'm sitting on the East Coast of the United States and I'm talking to my brothers 9 hours ahead in the future. And we're connecting and we're learning from each other and we're loving each other. And that's the basic aspect of Sufism. Is it's to just basically to become better each day, to always recite prayers all the time, to be in a state where you're always pure in your thoughts and your actions and your conduct, and to exemplify those same values to others. And that's even if we see the story of Brother Christian Rosenkreutz, when he was going from Egypt to Fez, Morocco, and he came across the Ikhwan al-Safa, which are the Brethren of Purity. And that's how they were able to make a difference in their time as well. It's to be accepting of everyone. They didn't see Brother Christian Rosenkreutz as a Christian. They welcomed him as a brother in their midst. And that's what we do as not just Sufis, but as Masons too, is that if we know someone to be of a pure and true heart, and know that, okay, he's taking the A road to get to God, I'm taking the B road, this other person is taking the C road, but we're all meeting at the same spot. So why not uplift each other and guide each other, and to welcome each other, to let them know that I share the same love for you that you have for me and that we have for the Creator, and I love you more than you love yourself. That's that's the true Mason. He learns and respects from all the religions and cultures of the world. From the East, you'll have the Bushido code of the samurai. You'll have the Brahmins from India. You'll have the Zoroastrianisms from Persia. You'll have the Gnosticism, Kabbalah, Sufism. We, as a Sufi, it is my duty also, and as a Mason, to learn from all of them and to apply a little bit of teachings from here, and that makes me, the perfect ashlar, as I keep chipping away at all my imperfections. And to know that in my quest to find God and to become one with God, I know that I can leave a better world behind through my actions. And that's how it is. It says in the Holy Quran, Surah 50, that Almighty God is closer to us than our jugular vein. And it's same in the Holy Bible in the book of Luke, where the kingdom of heaven is within you. So the creator, we're always looking outside to find the creator, but the love and the spirit of the creator, that's within us. And that's what the Sufi learns when he realizes that, okay, to God we belong and to him we shall return. He's all that there is and there's nothing else but he. And how we see the transformation of man take place, not just through the allegorical work of the Masonic Brotherhood or Rosicrucianism or Sufism, but your overall structure as a man, where who I am today was not the same person that I was last year, and who I will be a year from now will not be the same that I am today. So we're always learning and growing, and I always tell people that, listen, I don't have all the answers in the world. I'm still learning, and I can take the effort to learn from somebody. Okay, I humble myself. I live an aesthetic lifestyle, and I take the effort to learn from them, because we all have something within each other and in our quest to become one with the Creator to guide us. Like, you always been in those situations where, let's say you were meant to walk by a certain person at the right time at the right place. All those things were already structured for you, and you were meant to hear some kind of conversation when you walk by somebody. You were meant to hear those words. You were meant to see what took place. You were meant to encounter whoever came across your path to ask you for help or guidance. A lot of those anomalies take place for the Sufi and for the Mason. That happened to me plenty of times, where I would there would be these situations, not just in Pakistan but here, and this person would be approaching me, and I knew that they were coming to test me, because that's part of that Sufi path. And if they asked me for help, I would help them, because that's the test of a man's character when no one is looking. How do you, is there an image you put for the world and put for your family, or is there a pure heartedness and the love and light you carry within yourself that you exemplify everywhere? Where I tell people, just be yourself. Don't wear a mask for work, for school, for your home, for your wife, for your kids. Don't wear a mask, because you have to be yourself in all of those situations. And now we see that nature has kind of put humanity in time out for us to confront those issues, where most that were not getting along with their spouses now have to confront that issue. Whoever was neglecting their kids and their family now have to face those issues. So the path of the Sufi and the path of the Mason and all of these anomalies teach us that nobody gets away with anything, whether it's in this realm or the realm that takes place after our spirit leaves from this physical existence. To know that we have to love one another with the short time that we've been given. Life is short. This life, I always say, life is beautiful, but it's also short, and we owe it to each other to make sure that all people have a right to a dignified existence, as our Masonic forefathers have shown us, and not just in their personal aspects, but in what in the Sufi aspects as well, where we see that even a brother like Jamal al-Afghani, who taught Madame Blavatsky of the Theosophy Society, and how he traveled from this place to this place. He even went to the West, where he taught the parents of Noble Drew Ali, who eventually founded the first Moorish Science Temple of America and established the first Islamic presence in the United States in 1916. And how we're all interconnected with each other. And we see that even with George Washington's letter to the Sultan of Morocco, of how Morocco was the first to recognize the U.S. as an independent country. So that link between the Western brotherhoods and the Asiatic brotherhoods, a lot of people would say that has always been some kind of a conflict going on between the two, but I would say that we have more in common with each other than we realize. And I can attest to that as a Sufi from the East and a Mason from the West. And this is my goal as well, to not just unite these two fronts, but to unite the brotherhood. As you know, I'm now linked to England, I'm now linked to America, and that's helping me even forge the bonds on this aspect as well, because that's my duty as a builder to do these things, not just to bridge the gaps between England and the US, or the US or England through my affiliations, but to bridge the gap between the Asiatics and the Western brothers. Just like how we see even in the Crusades with Saladin and Richard the Lionheart, where they were practically brothers on opposite sides of the conflict. They always helped each other when both were in danger in some way. Just like how in the American Civil War, where you had the Union and the Confederates, but they helped each other. They spared each other's lives when brothers all came in conflict with each other. So we've seen this throughout history, where our brotherhood and the elements of Sufism and Rosicrucianism and the esoteric sides of Islam and Christianity have always been connected to each other in all the ways possible. Just like how the Knights Templar, even in the Crusades, they went down to Jerusalem and they studied with the Sufis and with the Ismaili aspect, Ismaili sect of the Shia Islam, who are part of the Hassan Saba and the Old Man of the Mountain. They're part of that group. So even those brothers from the West that came to the East found their knowledge strengthened and went back from the East to the West to deliver that knowledge upon their brethren in Europe. And that spirit of the Sufi and the Templars, and us loving each other and becoming one, and to put peace in this world. We share the same goals: peace, liberty, justice, the right to a good life, the right to an education. uh, Everyone has the right to a dignified existence, and I teach that. Even in the Western countries, we have the privilege of seeing these things, where so many people from the same faith can live on the same street peacefully with each other. And their kids go to school together, they work together, and everyone's growing up together without any issues. Those are Masonic values exemplified, as we see that most of the foundings that have occurred of secular states throughout history were done by brothers, including my home country of Pakistan in 1947. After the end of the British Raj, the founders of the country were influenced. They had a Masonic influence there, and their intention was to create a secular state. And that's what we should exemplify always. But yeah, there will be moments where uh, we might be imperfect, or our vision, we might come across some imperfections, but we should never lose hope. We should never lose hope on who we are and what we stand for. And I tell people, a lot of people worry about Freemasonry's future, but as a Sufi, I would say that everything is internal. It's not about external, or about the numbers, or whatever concern that the leaders might have. True Freemasonry will always be alive no matter what, whether it's the year 2020 or 2120, 100 years from now. So the values of love, brotherly love, relief, charity, to be there when someone asks you for aid, they will always exist. And our presence, that means, is immortal, just like how our soul is immortal, where we're going from one phase to the other. And that's how, the Sufi is saying la ilaha all the time, or if the sheikh instructs him to, he in his mind, for there's nothing else that matters to him but God. And that's what, the Mason's goal is too, is to become one with God, and to learn, and to basically bring his physical vessel to that, to that godhood, to become one with the Creator, and to just be pure in your daily remembrance, in your prayers, in your actions, how you're treating your friends, your family, your children. Is there anybody you need to pick up the phone and call them and say sorry to them? It doesn't make you a lesser person by doing that, by making peace. And to tell humanity that I'm here to love you and guide you, just like you're there to love and guide me to that same source that we all came from. And that's the dream of the Sufi, is to, when he follows the way, which is the tariqa under the sheikh, or equivalent to master of a lodge, you have to be true and faithful, not just to your brothers, but to your sheikh, and to the path that you have chosen to follow. We have to take seriously what we do, and we have to show this love to humanity, and to help, especially now with the COVID-19 going on. I'm really proud of what the United Grand Lodge of England is doing through their charitable efforts with the NHS and the Masonic Charitable Foundation. That's who we are. That's who we are. That's what our purpose is. That's our purpose, not just as Masons, but as Rosicrucians, as Sufis, whatever path you follow. Every path exemplifies that love and light to you. And we have to find that peace within ourselves. And I know that with the constant dhikr in Sufism, the remembrance of the prayers you have to say are exemplified as dhikrs, where you are given the tasks to, let's say, memorize the work or memorize prayers, similar to a brother in a lodge, how he has to memorize everything, not just to respect the tradition that has been passed down to him, but to make himself better by doing so. So that way, whoever comes to him and he has to better serve his lodge, he can do so. So it's about thinking not just about yourself and about your comfort, but thinking about others and knowing, how can I serve my brothers better? How can I serve my lodge better? How can I serve my Sufi tariqa or my sheikh better? So they're all basically one and the same. And it's just like at the Hajj, those that go to the Hajj in Mecca or do the Umrah, they all wear the ihram. I call it hiram because that's what it sounds like, the phonetic wording of it. And they all meet with their brothers on the level. And it's the same with the white lambskin apron of a master mason, is that signifies the innocence of your soul, and to subdue your passions and live your life within due bounds. We're always faced with situations that might make us anxious, they might make us angry, they make us emotional, but we always have to be in that center, that point within a circle, always be in that center. Just like how the Sufi teaches you is to ask God for help to make our journey easy, and to make the journey of our brothers easy, and to expel all those illusions and thoughts. Same thing how a Mason is when he circumscribes his desires and lives life within due bounds, knowing that I can't lose focus on who I am by seeing the world around me in chaos, because I'm the balance, and my brotherhood is the balance that the world needs. And I'm here to teach them. I'm here to teach them that this is who we are. And this is what also inspired me to also make my YouTube channel, because when I was in high school researching Freemasonry, I was very curious. I would see all of these negative videos and conspiracy videos, which I knew in my heart not to be true. So I'm honored that I had a chance to dispel those negative forces that were targeting the brotherhood on YouTube, and also to mend those gaps between the Eastern and Western mindsets in my travels and what I have been doing, because that's the promise I made, as not just as a Sufi, but as a Mason, is that I owe it to humanity. It's not always about me, it's about others. I have to make sure that if my family is sleeping peacefully at night, my neighbor has the same courtesy as I do. And if not, then I will fight for his rights, that he has that same life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, just like I do. And that's what it is. My money, my clothes that I'm wearing, who I look like, my physical avatar, this is just who I am for this lifetime. This is my duty, to serve humanity and to spread love and light. That's our job. as a speculative masons. The operative mason, he's a builder. He makes buildings and he makes structures. But as a speculative masons, as speculative Sufis, Rosicrucians, and all of the paths that Almighty God has bestowed upon you, it's our job to use our tools and to spread the love and light, just like how the operative spreads his cement on the cement blocks. It's our job to use our chisels and tools to spread the love and light to humanity, and to use our Masonic values to bring each other together. And that's the beauty that I've seen even here in the West, in the Sufi orders, where everyone is welcomed and everyone meets on a level, where you can have a male sheikh, and you can have other groups that join them together also, where everyone basically knows that it doesn't matter who you are, what you believe in. Those are titles that were given to you as a part of your when you were born. You were branded with those titles. But the universal aspect of our brotherhood and what we share with one another is we're all part of that covenant, or that rope that binds us all together. So we're all part of that. It's our duty to one another, and it's that aspect that we share, that life is a beautiful gift that has been given to us, and through our daily remembrance of Almighty God, to improve ourselves, to become one with that light, and to dispel all negative illusions and thoughts that come and try to get the best of us, to know that we are never alone. I went through some very spiritual, like a lot of spiritual struggles within the last 2 years of my life. And at moments when I thought I was alone in my life, I wasn't. And that's what I can, vouch for you, all my brothers tonight that are listening, is that no matter what you're going through in life, I don't know what your personal situations are, but I can guarantee that for you as a Sufi, in what I've seen in the spiritual realms of the Sufis and in the Masonic Brotherhood, is that you're never alone. You always have that love, guidance, and brotherhood that will always be guiding you in who you're meant to be, and who you're meant to experience all those hardships, good times and bad times, because certain moments and phases you have to experience yourself, because you will not grow unless you're put in those situations. But that doesn't mean that you've been abandoned. So for me, I will always have the watchful eye of not just my brothers, but the sheikh of who I follow, who will always be watching me, and he will always send help my way should I be in a position where I'm in distress and I need help. And it's similar to the Masonic path as well, where our brothers are always there for us in moments of distress when we make that call. So that's the beauty that I've seen in the Masonic aspect of just becoming one with God, and in the Sufi aspect, and even in the allegorical teachings of our brother Christian Rosicrucian, is that it's about you dispelling all of the illusions that the 3D realm is showing me with what I see in front of my eyes. But I know that this is a lot deeper than that. Just like how people take Freemasonry as a joke, saying that okay, it's just a bunch of old guys that meet with each other. I was 23 when I had joined, and I'll be 28 by the end of this month. And I can assure you that no matter what country in the world you go, even if there's no temples or no official account of any membership, you are never alone. That love and light and that guidance and that belief in humanity and that belief in each other will always be with you. Just like how a mother's love is always with his child, the brother's love and the sheikh's love and the God's love is always with you as you walk this journey, as you're going through this journey, and it's your journey to follow. No one can walk your path for you but you. And that's what the Sufi Sheikh will teach you too, is that I will always be with you, but you have to be ready to face these trials and tribulations and illusions, and the dark negative entities that might come and try to get the best of you, to try to make you lose your faith in yourself and your brothers, and to know that you must fight through all of it. You must fight through all of those phases in your life and to become better in all that you do. Same thing in the in the Masonic path is as you're climbing up those steps, there will be storms and rogue winds and things that will try to knock you off of your square. But you must always be on your square and act upon the square in your actions and in your love and all that you do, my brothers. I am everything that I've said to you so far. It's from the bottom of my heart because I wish you truly the best and your families the best, no matter what you're going through and what humanity and our brotherhood is going through. I can assure you that after a storm is over, the sun does shine, and the love that I when I first came to the West and the love that I shared with my Christian brothers, I sat with them, read the Bible with them, I loved them, they loved me. I read the Quran, I go to the Sikh Gurdwaras and I sit with them too. So knowing that he or she has the same hopes and dreams as me, has the same tears as me, has the same trials as me, has the same heartbreaks as me, the same feeling of joy when they experience joy. So that's, and when I had come across Freemasonry, also in addition to my life experience and the Sufi teachings, I was like, wow, there is such a gold mine that humanity has a chance that's always been there for them for thousands of years. And they just never took it seriously. And that's why I always say that I I promote the brotherhood very much because its values promote world peace and they promote us getting each other to where we need to get to. And the beauty of whatever that's just coming to me from the heart that I'm speaking with all of you is that we, with this short time that we've been given, we should not waste it. We should not waste the short time that has been allotted to us in this life. And we should always be in constant remembrance of God and to chip away at our rough ashlar to become better Sufis, better Masons, better Rosicrucians, and to help and guide humanity in all the ways possible. That's our job and that's our duty. We cannot sit idly by if we know that there's something that we can do about a situation, not just for ourselves, but for our family and for others. Knowing that we're we're all an extension of each other. And that's what, the Sufi believes as well, is that the creator is experiencing reality through all of us. So I'm I'm an aspect of that creator experiencing life with my brothers. Brother Blake is seeing me as an extension of his mindset. And we're basically in this dreamlike realm where we're learning from each other. And it seems so real. And when we go to sleep, then our spirits go to other places and we come back. And it just goes to show you that we're on that path where we're just there to build each other. We're there to build each other and we're here to, love one another. And speaking of dreams, the sheikhs do come in your dreams, but a few weeks ago, I had Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II come in my dream, and she looked at me and she smiled at me and kind of gave me a confirmation that whatever I was doing, I was on the proper path in my life to not just help, the brotherhood, but to help humanity and to dispel the ignorance that I see in all communities and to teach them that, you know what, we can't generalize everybody just based off the actions of a few person. That's not what their scripture says. If somebody comes across a bad Mason, I tell them that that's not what the brotherhood is. You have, like, all fingers are not the same size, and that's why you read their scriptures. What does the Masonic teachings tell you? What do the Christians teachings tell you? What do the Islamic teachings tell you? What do the Hindu and the Jewish teachings tell you? That's what that faith is. But if you see anybody that might make you think negative, or you might have a negative experience, that's that person's imperfections and that person's passions getting the best of him. And we must keep our composure and to teach the world that Sufis are good people, our Christian brothers are good people, our Masonic brothers are good people, And we all have that inherent goodness in our hearts, where if I'm walking down the street, I see somebody laying on the floor, I'm not going to ask him who you are and what you believe in. I'm going to rush to his aid and I'm going to help him to find out what happened to him and how can I help him, because deep down inside, we all really love each other. Even if a lot of people have this, I guess, the machoistic aspect that we have to put on in front of the world with our masculinity. But another aspect of the Sufi faith is you have to balance the two, because we have the masculine and the feminine both within us, and we have to bring the balance of that order out of chaos, and we have to bring that balance to the feminine and the masculine, where in our faith a man is not complete where unless he gets married with the opposite sex and becomes one. And it's similar to the Masonic aspect as well, where you have to circumscribe your desires and live within due bounds. That also includes finding that balance with your wife, and to bring that energy together to heal humanity together with the energies that you create. And even if you're not married, that aspect of masculine and feminine exists within us in our constant remembrance of God. When we feel fierce and strong like a man, that's our masculine. And when we feel emotional, where we feel some kind of affection or we feel some kind of affinity towards somebody, that's our feminine aspect. And we must balance the two, as it describes in the Sufi teachings of remembering God and bringing balance, not just in your thought and in your physical vessel, but in that reality that you project, because we always have to dispel all illusions and negativity that might come in our head, because our reality is what we think we create. And that's what the Sufi sheikh would tell you, is that he would instruct you, okay, I would want you to instruct these prayers 300 times a day, and I want you to stay in isolation and dispel all negative thoughts and be charitable and help your brothers. And I can go to the Masonic road as well, and the master of the lodge is instructing me in the same knowledge, as to be better, have that balance, dispel negative thoughts, help humanity, help each other, help your family, devote that time to your faith, your family, as we see in the teachings. So it's basically, two paths or three paths, one destination. Even if we look at the allegorical teachings of Rosicrucianism, is that the love that the Templars shared with the Sufis in Jerusalem, and how they were able to learn from each other in Al-Aqsa Mosque and King Solomon's Temple. We too owe that love to each other, of mastering those elements and mastering the elementals, not just within us, but around us at all given times. Where I tell people and the brothers from my faith that Freemasonry is the teachings of Prophet Solomon, or Suleiman alayhi salam, peace be upon him, where when God asked him, what do you really desire? And he said, wisdom. He didn't want fame. He didn't want fortune. He didn't want to sell out or sell out his friends and family or sell out humanity. He just wanted wisdom. And Almighty God gave him the greatest wisdom that was bestowed upon any man, where he was able to not just control himself, but also to control the elementals and the entities around him. And the teachings of Masonry and Sufism and Rosicrucianism teach us that the love that prophets Suleiman had for humanity, we too have the power to achieve that level if we keep chipping away like he was building his temples. This is our temple, our physical vessel that we must continuously build with positive thought, with positive action, with pure intent and love for humanity and for my brothers, knowing that if this is the last conversation that I will ever have in my life, and after this I go to sleep and I don't wake up, I can attest to my brotherhood and to my creator that I left a message of hope, and I left a message of love, and to teach them that that's the real wealth that we have. we spend all our lives thinking about, okay, I need to go to this college, I need to go to this university, I need to get a degree, I need to make connections, I need to get into this corporate office, otherwise I will never be seen as equal or seen as worthy by my peers. But the the thing is that, oh, thank you, Brother Thomas. I thank you for your kind words, my brother. My love to you and your family, and I pray all is well with all of you. So the thing is that we always have to be in that constant improvement of ourselves, and to guide humanity, knowing that any moment, any given time, this life can come to an end. And that's the memento mori in Freemasonry, where you have the symbolism of the skull. A lot of people see the skulls in Freemasonry and they get scared. And I tell them that just reminds you of your mortality, to tell you that stop worrying about what job you're going to have, how much money you're going to have, what degree you're going to have, because if your mortality comes to an end, none of that is going to save you. What's going to save you is you having a clean heart and you being in constant remembrance of the Creator, how the master of the lodge or the Sufi sheikh would instruct you, and to become better in your charitable deeds, with your family, with your loved ones, and all that you do. And as we see, not just with Saladin and Richard the Lionheart, or with Jamal al-Afghani teaching Madame Blavatsky, and the Brethren of Purity, Ikhwan al-Safa, teaching Brother Christian Rosencreutz, is that we're all here to learn from each other. Nobody has all the answers. I can't claim that Sufism founded everything, or everything came from Sufism. No, there's might be certain aspects of it that are true, but not totally. There's truth in every faith and in every walk of life. And that's why I always say that you have to learn from everybody. I, as a Muslim, I can go to my Christian church and sit down with them and read the Bible with them. I can go to my holy place and read the Quran. I can go to the Sikh Gurdwara and do the prayer chants with them, and serve people when they serve people with the food. So it's all an aspect of experiencing the love of the Creator through my eyes, and putting myself in the shoes of Brother Blake, for example. I can put myself in his shoes and see the world and its troubles through his eyes, and see what can I do as a Rosicrucian and as a Mason to not just help my family, but to leave a better world behind, especially in such calamity that we're experiencing today. And the lack of thoughtfulness that we have, as we see in our local supermarkets, where everyone's hoarding everything, and they're not giving respect to the elderly, and they're not respecting their parents. But it just goes to show you that how weak is humanity's faith, where they're hoarding so much material, food, and all these things that they're probably never going to use. Why? Because they're fearing their own mortality. They always spent their whole lives chasing after money, degrees, situations, institutions, that they never took the time to make their own faith stronger. And that's, you see, the reason why a lot of this craziness has took place in the world is because a lot of them have not made peace with their own mortality, knowing that hoarding all of those equipments and food and all the stuff that they were hoarding is not going to save you when the time comes. What's going to save you is your love, not just for yourself, but for each other and for all of humanity. And the teachings of Sufism, Rosicrucianism, and Freemasonry strengthen all of that in the memento mori, where I guess the saying goes, what uh, about virtues, about what virtue cannot separate, death brings it together. It's something similar like that. So it is about our virtues. And my greatest wealth, it's like the Sufi elders that tested me when I was in Pakistan. Some of those guys were pretty well set. You know, they were wealthy individuals. They had good families, good backgrounds, but when I walked past him, he would just be sitting on the floor. He would have like a white cloth. He would have a beard, wearing a turban, and most people would just walk past him, because that's another thing that the Sufis are teaching you. It's not the external, but the internal. It's about what you have in your heart. So I always been a Sufi in my heart. I always been a Mason in my heart, even before I was initiated into those paths. So it's very similar. It's about you making sure that you're not judging somebody by what they look like. You could go out and see what somebody looks like. Most people would just keep walking past them. You don't know who that person is. Give everyone a fair and equal chance in your life. And that's what our daily remembrance of God and focusing on the internal, not the external, is another thing that is similar that we have in Freemasonry and Sufism and Rosicrucianism. And that's the beauty, my brothers. That's the beauty. And I thank you again for hosting me tonight. And I also want to ask Brother Blake if anybody has any questions before I continue, and before I continue explaining things. If anybody has any questions, if I can feel free to answer anybody's questions.
Yeah, so if anyone would like to ask any questions, unmute yourself. I just like to say, at the start when you mentioned Hafez, I didn't even realize what you said, the word Hafez, and I thought, hang on, that sounds familiar, but I remembered the tomb of Hafez in Shiraz, of the poet. And
Yes,
now it
yes.
just makes so much sense. I didn't even realize he was Sufi.
Yep. The Hafiz is basically like the master of the lodge. So the master of the lodge would be the one who memorizes all of the work, so he can serve himself and his brothers in a better way. So the Hafiz would be the one who studies the entire Quran and memorizes it, so he can deliver that work to his brothers in the mosque when they come and need his assistance.
Yes, does anyone have any questions of their own? No.
Anything that I might have said, anybody needs any further explanation?
One thing I've been
I'd
waiting
just like to just hang on. I'd just like to thank our brother, because I'm going to have to get going. So, brother, thank you very much for your talk. It's been most interesting. A lot of what you said I suspected, of course, because one doesn't actually hear a lot about Sufis. But thanks very much, and I'll leave you to talk to everyone else. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Brother Solomon, can you hear me?
Yes, brother, I can hear you.
My name's Joseph Lind from Cairns in far north Queensland.
Nice to meet you, Brother Joseph.
Many years ago, Brother Solomon, probably over 40 years ago, I spent several weeks in Morocco, mostly in Tangier and Marrakesh. And when I was in Marrakesh, there was a demonstration of dancing by a group, I think they were called dervishes. And it was explained that they were related to Sufism. They managed to get into some sort of trance by whirling. I think that was another name for them, the whirling dervishes. You any experience of that, or is that a different path altogether, or is it a related path?
Yes, Brother Joseph. The whirling dervishes are a part of that initiatic experience of being in the constant remembrance of God. So if the sheikh or basically the master of the school instructs me, hey, I want you to recite 300 prayers for tonight's lesson, and I can do that by spinning around in a circle, like how the spiral of the motion is. So that helps you become one with the Creator, and it puts you in a trance-like state where you're able to receive that light that the Creator can bestow upon you by spinning, just keep spinning and reciting those prayers. So I could just go around like la 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 la. So I could do that for like for as long as I need to. Then that puts me in a state where that helps me into that Sufi path of becoming one with the Creator's swirling energy, and the Masonic path of, you know, bringing yourself from darkness to light.
Would it be related to, say, yoga is to Buddhism as a way of achieving enlightenment?
Yeah, it's basically a physical practice of the Sufi path to always make sure that you dispel anything that you see in front of you. You know that it's basically teaching you that it's not real. So if I go outside and I see a husband and wife fighting with each other, I know in my eyes that that's just an illusion that I'm perceiving with my eye, and the only thing that's real in my mind is the remembrance of God and being in that trance-like state. For anything else that's negative or that's occurring in front of me, I dispel it as an illusion. So I keep walking that path, knowing that only thing that exists is God, and that's all there is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Joseph.
Anything from anyone else? If not, we might sort of wind things up a bit. And as you know, I've been recording this, and I'll be sure to send it on to you. And
thank you, Brother Blake.
Thank you so much for joining us. That's been so incredibly illuminating. Learned so much from it.
Thank you, brother. I hope I was able to honor my brothers that are in Australia and New Zealand, and I pray that my journey, my Masonic journey and my Sufi journey takes me to Australia and New Zealand, just like how it took me to England, and I'm able to unite my brothers and to learn from them and apply that to my life as well. I'm still learning. I'm a student.
Nice. We'd love to have you here sometime. It might be something we can organize with the ANZ MRC. I think Joseph,
that would be an honor.
Just before you go, Brother Salman, it reminded me of something that hangs on my bedroom wall again, yes. which I brought back from Morocco over 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Recognize it?
I cannot see. How do I switch to Brother Joseph on the camera?
Can you see it now?
Can you see him better now? Is that spotlighted?
Yes, I see that. That's beautiful, brother. That is amazing.
I think you recited that earlier on at the beginning of your talk. God is great.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's basically it says Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So it tells you that in the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful. And that's what the Sufi always recites in his daily existence. Every time he does anything, he'll always do Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And that means God is all that there is, and he's merciful, and he's guiding me on my Sufi and my Masonic path to help humanity and help my brothers and to help the world.
Well, thank you again so much for that. I might stop the recording here, and Salam alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. My love to you, Brother Blake, and all my brethren in Australia. Thanks again for having me tonight. My best to all of you and your families.